Hello everybody, Les and Wendy back for another video. Wendy's on the other side of the camera right now. But today we just want to talk about a couple of things. The first of all is that we have had many people reach out to us and ask us how we made out during post-tropical storm Fiona. And so we've answered those people individually, but we also just want to talk about that a little bit because it is important. In St. John, we had virtually no issues whatsoever. We feel very strongly in support of all our fellow Atlantic Canadians who suffered tremendously through that storm. We have friends on Prince Edward Island who sent pictures of some of the devastation on their property with fallen trees everywhere, and we feel for them. But from our perspective, where we talk about our own experiences about living in St. John, we think it's important to mention that St. John doesn't get the same effect as other parts of the Maritimes when it comes to tropical storms. We've talked in many of our videos about how the Bay of Fundy, which we're looking out at here, helps to moderate our temperatures. Both in the summer we get a little bit cooler than other parts of the Maritimes, and in the winter we get a little less snow, a little bit less stormy activity. So that applies to things like hurricanes and tropical storms and that sort of thing as well. We were here in 2019 during Hurricane Dorian. That was our second summer in St. John. And it was an experience for us because we'd never had anything like that coming from the West Coast. And there was some damage here in St. John, but again, nothing compared to the rest of the Maritimes. So we had fallen trees, some uprooted sidewalks and that sort of thing during Dorian. But during Fiona, we had virtually nothing. We never lost power in St. John. We know that some of the surrounding areas did, but St. John has its own utility, St. John Energy, and it's very rare to lose power inside the city of St. John. Now, we know that parts of the Maritimes, including Prince Edward Island right now, are still without power several days after the storm. And we also know that if you're from another part of Canada, you may tend to think of the entire Atlantic coast as a homogeneous area where everything's the same, but it absolutely is not. And that's part of our experience as to why we love St. John, which Wendy will talk about more later on. And so we had a windy evening during Fiona. We took our dog out almost in the height of the storm for a walk, and she wasn't even really scared, and she's scared of everything. So it was windy. There was some branches that came down in the park that is across the street from our home. And there may have been one or two trees that came down, smaller trees. We have heard some chainsaws going around the neighborhood. But realistically, the damage here was nothing. And, in some ways we feel a little guilty about that because our neighbors have had such an enormous threat to their livelihoods and existence from that storm. But for us in St. John, we had virtually nothing. Now, I don't know if the camera shows, but we are in the fall here, and I am wearing my shorts. It is late September. I believe today it's about 19 degrees outside. It's absolutely gorgeous sunshine. We're standing underneath the Harbor Bridge, and we are on the Harbor Passage, which is a walking and cycling pathway, and you can see several people around here. We'll talk about that too more in a moment. So this is a beautiful pathway that stretches all the way from uptown St. John and all the way to behind me to Reversing Falls. And so we have the Bay of Fundy out in the edge. We have the St. John Harbor in this part. And then as we go up this way, it's the St. John River to Reversing Falls. And we are enjoying a beautiful fall. I know we haven't done many videos, but we've been enjoying the gorgeous weather. September and October are our favorite months in the city. I can't speak for Wendy, but they are my favorite months in the city. There's a crispness, a freshness in the air, and the temperatures are still warm. The evenings are cool, so we sleep really well. And that's part of the reason we haven't done a video, because we tend to sleep in the mornings. But and again, as realtors with Royal LePage Atlantic, our business has started to pick up for a fall market that we weren't sure whether it was going to happen or not, but there's still a ton of demand to come into St. John. And speaking of demand and St. John and all that there is to offer. I'm going to get my ugly mug off of this picture, and we're going to look at something that's going on in the harbor. So, say hello, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
So here you see, we can't even see uptown because it is hidden behind not one, not two, but 3 large cruise ships.
Gorgeous.
So we have the Norwegian Joy, the Norwegian Breakaway, and the Royal Caribbean Voyager of the Seas. 3 ships in port today. They're all large ships. The total capacity, if you combine them all, is over 11,000 passengers. So if you bring 11,000 people into a city that's about 70 or 80,000 people, it makes a huge impact. It brings the city to life. And it is just a fantastic experience to be part of year after year. We missed these so much during the 2 years that they were shut down for the pandemic. But now they're back, and we absolutely love it. So, my question to you, our fellow Canadians and international viewers, is if the cruise lines can appreciate the beauty, the natural, scenic amazingness of St. John, the historic nature of the city, and the gorgeous fall colors as they change, then maybe we challenge you to think about that as well and appreciate that as well. We have locals here that don't appreciate what they have. Most do, but some don't. And we have been making videos for 2 years, pounding in the fact that as people who are not native to this city, we moved here, we've been amazed in the 4.5 years that we've lived here, just how gorgeous this city is and everything it has to offer. And obviously, these big, huge corporate cruise lines feel the same way because they're sending ships here in amounts never seen before in the city. So, Wendy, anything to add?
No, I think you covered it all. I just wanted to just make a little side note that the noise in and behind us, they're doing road work up on the bridge. So, excuse the noise behind us. But yeah, it's a gorgeous day in the fall. It's still quite warm out. There's a little sea dog out there. I'm not sure if you could pick it up on the camera. It's just center screen to the left a little. We wanted to zoom in there. He's coming in because it's high tide and there's lots of food source here for the sea dogs when they come in. This is such a beautiful area for that reason. He's just swimming around in the harbor. It's pretty cool. But, you know, we always emphasize the beauty of St. John just because it's kind of at every turn. And this is just another aspect of St. John. The tourists love it here because it is so beautiful and historic and the architecture is beautiful. It's such a lovely city. So if you're thinking about coming out here for a visit or to move or whatever, it won't disappoint. Take a chance. Come on out.
Yeah, and come on a cruise too. You can sometimes get these cruises quite economically as well. Most of them will leave either from Boston or New York or New Jersey. Some leave from Quebec City or Montreal. But there's lots of ways to come and visit the city. And, you know, again, we just wanted to thank everyone for their concern about how we made out during Fiona.
Yeah, we received a lot of messages, so thank you for that.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people reach out to us, and it really humbles us. And we thank you for your concern. We didn't have any issues. We don't expect to have many issues in the future. But yes, we are susceptible to these kinds of storms. But we do tend to make out a little bit better than other parts of the Maritimes. And for that, we're very grateful.
Yeah.
It does go into doing some research if you're thinking about moving to this area. We do talk about climate quite often and weather and storms and that sort of thing. So do watch our videos. We'll mention it often, but it is just a lovely fall day, so we decided to pop out here quickly and make a little video and show the waterfront, the cruise ships, uptown in behind, and this beautiful harbor passage. And they are all reasons why
we love St. John.